You've probably had moments where you made a decision that felt right, but later on you wondered, did I just make a huge mistake? Maybe you're stuck in a loop right now, wondering what decision you should make, and you're afraid of making the wrong move. Here's the real question. How do you know that a decision is a good decision even before you make it? As a psychic, I come across a lot of clients who are just sitting on a decision, afraid to pull the trigger because they're afraid that they are going to make the wrong move. So stick around until the end and you're going to find out how to know if the decision you're making is the right decision for you. Hello everybody, I am Vaishali Nikhade. I am an engineer turned psychic with over 9,000 readings, and I show you how you can leverage the power of the stars as well as the power of the spirit in order to be able to make the right decision and to create momentum in order to be able to move forward in your life. In this video, I'm going to show you what makes a decision a good decision, why you should just let go of some choices even if they look good on paper, and how to know if your next move is aligned or you're just making it under pressure. According to a study by Columbia University, an average person makes over 35,000 decisions a day, and over 90% of the people regret at least one major life decision. So if you are in the 90%, you can go ahead and put in the chat below if you feel that you fall in the 90% who are regretting a decision, or you fall in the 10% where you feel like you've made all the right decisions so far. Every decision has a life cycle, and this is what you're going to learn in this video. Not only that, you're going to find out how a decision which is just a single moment is going to impact the long-term future of not only you, but maybe a lot more things around you. So here's what you're going to learn in this video. The immediate impact of a decision, the short-term impact of a decision, and the long-term impact of a decision. So let's get started. The first one is the immediate impact of a decision. So before we go into the immediate impact of a decision, I want to kind of clear up one point, which is how a decision can be made, or what are the factors influencing you making a decision. The first one is logic by itself, which means that logically you kind of look at the pros and the cons and then figure out if the pros are more than the cons or vice versa, and then you make your decision. The second factor is actually your intuition. And if you have the ability to tap into your intuition on demand, then you can literally find out if the decision you make is going to be a good decision, especially for the long term, because it's going to impact a lot of things moving forward, or a not so good decision. If you do not know how to tap into your intuition, I'm just going to link some free guides below where you can learn how to tap into your intuition. And then the last one is using the power of the stars, which is a little more advanced, which is, as a psychic, I can leverage or look at how the stars are going to impact the decision, in the sense that they're going to show me, like, if I go this way, what is going to be happening, which means if I make the decision one way versus if I make the decision the other way, how things are going to change. So think of it as almost time traveling in the future and kind of figuring out as to what the impact of your decision is going to be. So now we can come to the point about the immediate impact of a decision. And I'll just take an example, or two examples rather, where I'll show you the immediate impact of a decision. So for instance, let's say that I want to go from my home to the airport, and I have a choice that I take the Uber to the airport or I take the train to the airport. And let's say that I decide to take the Uber to the airport. And as soon as I board the Uber, I find out within, say, 10 minutes that there's a huge traffic jam because there's a huge accident and everything is going to be delayed. So that is the immediate impact of the decision. So now I look at the other example where this was a long time back, where I was debating whether or not I should go to, let's say, a psychic expo, which was located, say, 400-500 miles or maybe even more. And I was kind of debating whether I should go or I shouldn't go. So the immediate impact of the decision is, let's say that I go, then I'm naturally putting myself in front of people whom I don't know or who don't know me. So essentially, I am just connecting with more people. And if I choose not to go, then I'm going to lose the connection with all those people with whom I would have connected had I gone there. So that is the immediate impact. So now I can decide, or I can make the decision based on either logic, based on either intuition, or based on either the stars. So let's say based on logic. Okay, so based on logic, I can say that, oh my God, I have to drive all the way down there. Should I really go? It's too much of a hassle. So I am kind of, let's say I'm halfway here and halfway there, and I'm not really deciding. Or I haven't really come to a conclusion of either a yes or a no. So let's say I'm neither here nor there, which is I'm kind of sitting on the fence, which is not a good place to be in. And that's really how a lot of my clients approach me, which is they are sitting on the fence and they don't really know which is the right, or which way is the right way to go, or what is the right thing to do. So now I look at the same decision using intuition, and I tap into my intuition and I see if my intuition is saying yes, I should go, or no, I shouldn't go. And let's say I tap into my intuition and I find that my intuition is saying yes, I should go. So intuition is just giving me a very definite answer. So here I was on the fence, and here I'm having a very definite answer. And finally, using the stars. So using the stars, I can find out both the immediate impact, the short-term impact, and the long-term impact. Using logic, it's not possible to find all these three, or let's say it's really challenging or very difficult. And using intuition, to a certain extent, you can kind of tap into it. And using the stars, you can tap into the immediate, the short-term, as well as the long-term impact. So using the stars are giving me a yes, and they are saying that yes, I should go to this expo, and it's going to be like a good thing for me, and it's showing me how or why it's a good decision for me to go. So now I have two yeses here and one kind of in between here. So I kind of go with the yes and I decide to go to the expo. Whereas if I had gone with logic only, then either I go or I don't go, and I'm just kind of wondering whether I should go or not go. And if I sit there for too long, essentially, I probably am not going to go. So you can see that logic is limited in its ability to kind of guide me in terms of making the decision. Intuition is guiding me and saying, yes, I should go. The stars are guiding me and saying me, yes, I should go. Based on how strong your intuition is, you may not be able to get all the details on why you're getting a yes, because intuition is essentially kind of giving you the answer. With the stars, you can get all the details of why you're getting a yes. Most of the times, people think that they're really smart if they find out that the immediate impact of the decision is good or it works in their favor. But you can see that as far as the life cycle of a decision is concerned, there is a lot more than the immediate impact. So I also mentioned that the stars can kind of give you a lot more detail and go in depth on why a decision is a good decision. And a part of it is it also shows you what's coming along the way. So how exactly do the stars help you see what's coming your way, or how can you find that information? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have something called the Cosmic Chronicle, and what I do essentially is every week I show you what is in store for you as far as the stars are concerned, and every month you can look at the energy of the month and see what to expect during the month. So this way you are more prepared. Think of it as having a GPS and kind of knowing where you're going versus just taking the hits along the way as they come. So if you'd like to be in the first category of having the GPS, then the link to sign up for the Cosmic Chronicle is below, and you can sign up for the Cosmic Chronicle and see how every week you are going to get guided from the stars in terms of what to expect. So now we come to the second part, which is the short-term impact of the decision. So I told you that one of the examples was me getting to the airport. So one example was me getting to the airport and I find along the way that there is a traffic jam. So I'm going to the airport, say this is the airport, and we've only traveled until here by Uber and I find that there is the traffic jam. So what is the short-term impact? The short-term impact of this decision is going to be that I'm going to be late to the airport. It is also possible that I may even be so late that I may not be able to board the plane, or I may actually miss my flight. So that is the short-term impact of making the decision. Had I gone by train here instead of taking the Uber, the train would have bypassed this traffic jam, bypassed this accident, and I would have been able to make it on time. So if my intuition says that don't take the Uber and I go against it, then I can kind of see the result right here in the traffic jam that, oh shoot, I shouldn't have really gone against my intuition. So that is the short-term impact as far as the ride to the airport is concerned. And now we come here, which is the expo, or the psychic expo, where I was supposed to go. And I go there and I find the atmosphere is a little challenging in the sense I made the decision using the intuition and the stars, and I did not make the decision using logic, because if I had made the decision using logic, I would have just fled the scene and gone away and done something else. However, because intuition and the stars favored the decision, I decided to stick around. And there weren't that many people as was advertised over there. So let's say that it was a couple of days. I forget how long it was, but let's say just it was 2 days. The story is true. Some of the details I don't quite remember because it was a while back. This was when I was just getting started, or when I was fairly new to doing all this work. So what happens is there is a gal who's passing along the way, and I just stop her and I talk to her and I offer her a very special deal. And she kind of takes it. And because she takes that deal, it kind of compensates me enough that it helps me pay for a part of whatever it was that I had spent in order to go there, as well as the fees, as well as the food and the hotel and so on. So what happens in the evening is the same person, she goes ahead and from my website, she orders this thing which is called as a future love reading, or a future boyfriend reading, future husband reading kind of a thing. In fact, I still have those on my site. Initially, I used to do them person by person, and now I have them as digital downloads. They are still equally effective, but at the time I was doing it personally by email, and I gave her a prediction of what her future boyfriend slash husband would look like. And it turns out, since it's been a long time, I already have the results of those predictions. It turns out that she actually ended up meeting the guy in almost the same way I had predicted, and she ended up marrying him, and they have a child now. So the short-term impact of this is that I was almost able to recover the money or break even and still come in front of a lot of people. So that is the short-term impact of the decision. So now we go to the long-term impact. So the first example was that of the Uber, and as far as the long-term impact is concerned, let's say that this Uber as well as this traffic jam was bad enough that I missed my plane. So essentially what happens is I miss my plane and I can no longer go there. So now the long-term impact is, let's say that I am going to a conference here, and the conference is, let's say, only 2 days, and I miss my plane, and because of the way the flights are and because of the way the time zones etc. are structured, I'm almost going to catch, let's say, a very short part of the conference even if I catch the next plane. And essentially, I miss out on the whole conference, and it's a complete disaster. So this is if I was an attendee at the conference. Now, if I was a speaker at the conference, it's going to be even worse. But you can tell from here that just one decision over here which is one decision over here, which is deciding by either logic. You can decide by either logic or by intuition or using the stars. How deciding by logic is kind of not helping you, because you went on logic and saying that, oh, I'm going to ride all the way to the airport, and suddenly things shifted against you. So essentially logic didn't quite do the job. So now the long-term impact, for as far as this conference is concerned, it's disaster. Not only is it disaster, you miss on meeting out all the people during the conference and whatever comes out of those relationships. So that is the long-term impact of making logical decision. So that's as far as the long-term impact of this logical decision is concerned. Okay, I was just going to circle this. So that's the long-term impact using only logic. However, had I used either intuition or the stars or a combination of both, it would have told me or showed me that, hey, listen, don't take the Uber, because intuition may not sometimes always tell you the reasons why you shouldn't take it. It's just going to give you the answer, which is don't take the Uber. And then you decide not to take the Uber and you take the train. And the train kind of helps you get there on time, and you board the plane and you do the conference, whether you're a speaker or an attendee, and you meet all the people and whatever comes out of those relationships. So that is the effect, or the long-term effect, of making a decision using intuition as well as the stars. So now we come here to the Psychic Expo, where I had met this girl, and I mentioned that I did a future love reading for her. I'm going to link those in the chat as well. So essentially, I did that reading for her, and the long-term impact is not only did she become a client, but she also referred a lot of clients to me. So had I not gone there, I would have never met her and I would have never come across all those clients. So yes, in the short term, it looked like I barely recovered the amount of money I spent for the conference or for the expo. But in the long term, it gave me visibility in front of a lot more clients. So you can see from this that I just don't want to make a mistake here. All right. So you can see from this that a decision can have three different impacts. One is immediate impact, and most people think that based on the immediate outcome, they have made a good decision, which is not the case most of the times. There is the short-term impact, and then there is the long-term impact. And then if you can nail the outcome of all these impacts, it is very challenging to do this using logic, because logic just won't have enough information. So you can use this, you can do this using either the intuition or the stars or a combination of both. And once you have, let's say, 2 out of 3 in your favor, most of the times you don't really need logic in your favor, because logic is only going to give you certain answers which may or may not lead you to the right choice. You essentially need the backup from either the intuition or the stars or both. And most of the times they're kind of going to come to the same conclusion. So now that you know that a decision not only impacts your immediate future, but also your short-term future as well as your long-term future, just one decision can completely change the course of your life. Most people don't realize how close they are. Neither do they realize that they are making a decision, because they're kind of just going through the flow of life without stopping and waiting and thinking, and kind of even realizing that an opportunity is being presented in them, because it kind of just passes by. The noise level is so high that the opportunity just passes by. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how you're just one decision away or one step away from a completely different life. So that is the subject of my next video, and I'll see you in my next video.